Hi there, I'm Jesse Schuman, one of the co-creators of the Picture Hebrew flashcard app package. Thank you for your order. Let me show you how to begin. I suggest that you begin by opening up the English Companion PDF. As you scroll through, there will be some really helpful introductory information. And then here's the table of contents. Now, this table of contents corresponds to our book according to their kinds, Biblical Hebrew Picture Dictionary. And the rest of this PDF is a list that corresponds to the entry of the words. But let's begin by downloading the app. So if you click on the link that we have listed on the website, it'll take you here and you can begin by downloading. If you have a Mac, you can click here. If you have Windows, you can click here. Now I already have it on my computer, so I can open up Anki. And I've stripped away the decks on my Anki, so if you're new to Anki, this is probably what it'll look like. Now, on the invoice that you have, you can download one of two different app packages. And I have them both downloaded here. And in order to import them into Anki, once you have Anki installed, all you have to do is click on it once. So I'm going to click on the simple package, and it opens up directly. So what we have now is we have the whole package. It's Picture Hebrew flashcard simple book order, and if you click the plus, it has all of the separate chapters broken out. Now you could start by learning chapter 1.1 by clicking on it and study now. But I'm actually going to suggest you do something a little bit different. I'm going to suggest you click Create Deck, and I'm going to suggest you name it something like Active Hebrew. And then here's my new deck, because it would be best to study from the whole deck as it is. But if you were to click on this and then click Study Now, it's going to randomly pull cards from everywhere in the deck. So how do we fix this problem is you can press plus here, and then all you have to do is click and then drag it. Drag it so that it's over the deck that you want it to be on, and then now it's underneath. So these cards, they don't delete, they just move. So now chapter 1.1 is not under the big deck, which I can minimize. Now it's under the active Hebrew deck. So I can begin by studying. And here's my study session down here. The blue is new cards that I've never encountered before. Red is my pile of cards that I'm learning. And then green is cards that I need to review. But let's see.
Adama, Adamot.
The gray is the vowelless Hebrew text. Here's an English gloss, and then here are the two forms. For a noun, it'll list the singular form and the plural form, and then here's a sentence that uses it. Vekain haya oved adama, and Cain was a worker of ground. If you want to hear the audio again,
Adama, Adamot.
underneath, you grade yourself as far as how well you did. If you click again, which is telling you shortcut is 1, so you can click this, or you could just press 1, you will see this card again in less than 1 minute. If you say, oh, it's good, which is shortcut 2, they'll show it to you again in less than 10 minutes. If you say, oh, this is easy, you click that and they'll give it to you in 4 days. Okay, so make sure that you click what most accurately describes you. Don't click easy if you're beginning to learn it, because you won't see it again for 4 days. Now, Anki has a spaced repetition learning algorithm, meaning that it'll give it to you when you're first learning a card, it'll give it to you really frequently, but the more that you've gotten it right, the more spaced out it will be. So these options will change as you keep learning and giving it more information as far as how well you know it. Okay, and then you'll have even more options as you continue. But here are our options for now. Now this is pasture land. Now notice that you have a space bar here, and that is because you can type in the Hebrew. All right, and this is migrash, migrashim. So I type this in. I give a space between the forms because there's a singular and a plural form. And notice this glyph here for the sheen. In entering in the Hebrew text, I didn't distinguish between seen and sheen because in the earlier days of Hebrew, there was no distinction in the letter. And then also in modern Hebrew, when it's written, typically there's no distinction. And so I have it typed in and then I click Show Answer.
מגרש, מגרשים.
And notice that the vowelless Hebrew text is all green because I got it perfectly right. And say you're learning the sentences and you don't know umigreshehem yihyu livhem tam. You're like, what is that? Well, you could go to your English companion and then go to migrash, and it'll give you the translation of the sentence, and their pasture land shall be for their livestock. Okay, so now it's giving me adama again. I'm going to type it this time, but I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm going to show,
אדמה, אדמות.
and then it's showing me that I typed an ayin instead of an aleph. So it's going to be red on what I typed and then gray on what is correct. So that's a pretty cool feature. Let me show you a couple other things here. One, you can browse the cards. And for browsing, you can go to, so here's the big deck that you just imported, or Active Hebrew, which just has one chapter in it. And so you might want to study in the browse feature first so that it's not picking up information as far as how will you learn it. Here's one, Sadeh, Sadot, and it means open field, and then here's the card. And you can study in here too by clicking the preview button.
שדה, שדות.
So what I suggest is you can begin by learning chapter 1.1, and then once you feel like you've really learned these cards, then you can move in chapter 1.2. And because it's best to be able to study from the main deck, I think it's best to keep your decks minimized, and then all you have to do is click on this and then study, and you can study from there. And here's a new card, Midbar. So I can type in Midbar. Let me say another thing about finding a Hebrew keyboard. Now I have it on my Mac, so I can type English, Greek, and Hebrew. Now, what would be best for you is to just Google how to get a Hebrew keyboard on my Mac or on my PC, and then just follow the instructions there. The reason why I don't include something now is because when each new operating system changes or from computer to computer, it's a little bit different. It takes a little bit of trial and error, but getting Hebrew and being able to type in Hebrew is well worth it because it's another way of exercising your brain and to be able to master the card. So this is the simple deck. Now what's the complex deck that I talked about? Well, you can't have the simple and the complex together, or you could, but actually the cards or copies would be mixed up. It's best to do one or the other. And you could certainly start out with the simple and then move to the complex as you feel like it. And all you'd have to do is go to the right of the deck, click on this gear, and then you can delete it, right? Now, if you delete it, you can still import it again by clicking on the simple package. But I'm going to click on the complex package. Again, just one click and up it goes. And it's going to be the same thing where here's all the chapters, and then I can move it into Active Hebrew and I can start studying. Now I'll tell you at the beginning that there's going to be 3 different copies of each card. And so that's why it's complex. It's going to push you to master the vocabulary even more. So here's one feature is that it begins with the back and it shows you the front. And so you can read this, yam, yamim, and then you're trying to think of sea.
ים, ימים.
And then here's a picture of a sea.
נחל, נחלים.
All right, now this one, it gives you audio and then it's telling you you need to type it. I type it and I show the answer. And here it's not going to be showing me the Hebrew, it's just going to show me the vowelless Hebrew that I type perfect, and then the English gloss, and that was easy for
נהר,
me.
נהרות.
Now say you didn't catch it, you can just click the audio again.
נהר, נהרות.
Did you hear that? Let me play it again.
נהר, נהרות.
This is river. Nahar, Neharot. I click that and now it's going to show me the picture because you should hear Nahar and you should think this picture. You hear Hebrew and then we want to train you to think immediately what's the referent and that you can have comprehension not just by seeing the Hebrew but also hearing the Hebrew. Again, getting all your senses trained. And then here's the third copy of a card. Gives you the picture and then you can type it. Adama, Adamot, and then it's going to give you the back with the audio.
אדמה, אדמות.
All right, so this is the complex Hebrew. Complex because you have 3 copies of each card. One card is exactly like the simple version where it gives you the picture and then it gives you a typing bar where you can type the Hebrew forms. That's one, going from picture to Hebrew text. The other is just going the other way, Hebrew text, and then thinking of what's the referent. The third way is you get the audio of the Hebrew text with the typing bar and you try to type what you hear and then you're also thinking of what the picture is. So can you type what you hear and can you also think of the reference? So those are the 3 ways. So with 3 copies of each card, there's 417 flashcards total. That means there's over 1,200 cards total. Meaning if you learn all of these copies, it's pushing you to triply know the vocabulary. One final thing, there's a sync feature here that if you sign up for an account, then if you have multiple devices, it's going to sync your data across devices. And you can get a free mobile app for your Android. Unfortunately, the app for Apple costs money. And don't blame Anki, blame Apple. Apple's dumb in several different ways. So this sync feature, this is how you can get it synced up with multiple different devices. But you don't need to. You can choose to just do it on your laptop. And honestly, a lot of my students do their flashcards just on their laptop because of the typing feature. It's way better to type on your laptop than on your smartphone. All right. I hope this serves you well and that you are able to crush it with Hebrew, being able to pair the best of our Picture Hebrew flashcards with the best of what a flashcard app like Anki has to offer. And I think you'll really pick up your Hebrew comprehension and your reading fluency. And that's what I want to see. I want to see everybody get to a point where they're happy with their reading fluency, being able to be in the Hebrew Bible each and every day.